Kyle!
Troy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good. So much.
Hey, we're here talking about adaptive athletics, adaptive sports. Tell me your story. Not me. Tell these guys
Tell the world.
your story. How did we get here?
Well, a little over 4 years ago, I developed a very severe infection in my leg and lost the entire leg, hip disarticulation. There were some wounds that wouldn't heal, and there's some underlying history. Well, there's some underlying causes that they believe there was a bone cancer or something that prevented the wounds from healing. So I ended up losing the leg. Spent 8 weeks in the hospital, 8 weeks in rehab at the local VA hospital. And during physical therapy, I kept wanting to get back to the point where I had been as an able-bodied, where I was working out quite a lot with you. So physical therapy, occupational therapy realized that, and they pushed me. And once I got out of the hospital, COVID hit. But I was still able to go out to physical therapy at the VA and work with my prosthesis, and started realizing that you have to walk different with a hip disarticulation, well, with any amputee, lower leg amputee, whether it's above or below knee hip disarticulation, that you end up walking different. And with hip D, you basically walk with your pelvis now. So I realized that I needed to get back into working out. So of course I came back and started doing training with you, which led to a lot of other things. I had been going to see a physical medicine rehab doc at the Ann Arbor VA, and she brought up adaptive sports.
Ah, okay. So that was that the first time you really started to think about adaptive sports?
I knew about adaptive sports, but I didn't know the width and the breadth of what was out there.
Okay.
But in talking with her, I brought up that I had played lacrosse, rugby, different sports as an able-bodied, and she knew one of the rec therapists at Mary Free Bed Hospital in Grand Rapids. So she said, you need to contact them and get involved with the sports. So I looked into it, and actually I can't remember if it was it's 4 years of everything's starting to run together now. But I was able to get into wheelchair lacrosse, and then that led to sled hockey, or the other way around. But I still remember just going up to watch a sled hockey practice, and they said, no, we're gonna put you in a sled, and you're gonna go out there and, slide around. And I had no clue what I was doing. But the teammates were great, the coaches are great, so I just kept doing it. And I've just finished my finishing my fourth year of wheelchair lacrosse, coming up on my fourth year of sled hockey, 3 years of wheelchair softball. I've been extremely fortunate. The teammates I've had, the coaches, the rec therapists, they make it very enjoyable, and it is a lot of fun. Then I started getting involved with other sports. I've done clinics for wheelchair fencing. I've done wheelchair football. I've got involved with swimming. I've got involved with a hand cycle bike, racing wheelchair. A lot of that is through the VA also. But all of those require a lot of training. So I kept, of course, I kept training with you, even doing sport-specific stuff. Because no matter how much you do in the sport, usually the sports are 1, maybe 2 days a week with practice. So you've got to train outside that.
Yeah.
And a lot of it you have to do sports specific, which you helped me out with.
Well, but these guys don't need to necessarily hire a trainer. Like we're big fans of trainers because that's what I do, but it's not necessary. Heck, you can watch our videos and get all of the information you need.
Definitely.
But if you have access to a trainer, take full advantage. I mean, that's what you would
now,
say, right?
aren't they also able to contact you and us?
For
we
sure.
could be
Absolutely, yeah.
their kind of video
Hey,
coach.
you could contact us.
Yeah.
We could coach you. Absolutely.
And I haven't done all sports, but Troy has been a personal trainer for over 40 years. I actually started with him as a trainer about 35 years ago. I've also been a physician assistant for over 20 years. So, and also with my teammates from the various sports, they've probably done every sport out there, which is amazing. And we'll talk about that in the video. But for me, it was, I am not going to sit around and whine and cry and complain about losing a leg. There's way too much life out there. And getting involved with the adaptive sports, to me, is still absolutely amazing because they are incredible, incredible athletes. And I'll ask everyone watching this video, watch the Paralympics after the Olympics. If you see this before, the end of August when the Paralympics, or if you want to go watch a competition live, and there are plenty of them out there, you will see incredible athletes, even at the level I play at. I'm not one, I'm trying to be, but just getting out there and doing the sport.
But that's the key there, though. If you go watch the Paralympics, don't think that that's, you got to be that to be able to participate.
But it will show you the athleticism of disabled athletes.
Absolutely. It's unbelievable.
It is.
Sure.
I mean, whether you have a disability, your lower body or even upper body, there are even leagues of stand-up hockey that for veterans or others that you can even do stand-up hockey as an above or below knee amputee. And I'm thinking, that's absolutely amazing. So you're basically out there skating with 1.5 legs. Whereas in a sled, it's mainly upper body. But even in sled hockey, that if you don't have a lot of upper body strength for whatever your disability is, you can have a pusher. And of course, the pushers have limitations that they can't go full speed. But getting out there and challenging myself, and I'm usually the oldest athlete out there on our teams, but that's also a challenge that, I've got my teammates are in their 30s or 40s and they've been doing adaptive sports for 20 years. So I have to challenge myself to try to keep up with them. And I want to be the best teammate I can.
Sure.
And if that means I'm not necessarily out there competing at their level, I can still be on the bench cheering them on. And either fortunately or unfortunately, that's what I usually hear from the coaches and my teammates going, we can hear you all over the field or the rink. And I go, support my team. And that gets you out there being involved in the sports, whether it's practice or a game, a tournament. I'm going to say it is fun. The key is that you're not being a disabled athlete. You are being an athlete.
Athlete, for sure.
And having a trainer or watching our videos, talking to other disabled athletes, your teammates. If you're doing any physical therapy, your physical therapist, occupational therapy, rec therapy, they can all guide you because they understand this. And I would not be able to do what I'm doing without being challenged by my PT and OT. I actually even got pool therapy, and I realized, wait a minute, even with one leg, I can swim. And of course, they had all the little toys, the different flotation devices that you could use to work on where you're floating and working on your leg strength, kind of like water aerobics where you could be doing bicep curls and all this other stuff. But I also found little gloves that give you a little more resistance when you swim, and then like a rec therapy flipper, which I realized, wait a minute, I can start doing laps. And I'll never forget that in the pool that we had at the VA, it was a therapy pool, so it's only 18 yards long. And I'll never forget how happy I was to be able to do 2 laps. So 75 yards. And now, 2 years later, I'm swimming 1.5 miles.
Which is incredible.
Well, people go, you swim? I go, why not? You know,
Sure.
I mean, because it's a challenge. The challenge is, you know, being able to build up to it, and I do it either in a pool or in a lake. But the challenge also is the mental challenge. And anybody that has swam distance, you realize you got to think about things, and it gets your mind off your disability. Then when you're done, you realize, holy cow, look at what I did.
That's right.
And then, of course, with the swimming led to events. Like I have a upcoming lake swim in my hometown here in Battle Creek, which is 1.15 miles, so about 2,000 yards. And I've been talking to the folks at our local Y Center who run it, and they cannot recall any amputees trying it. And they've been a huge help to me understanding how to practice, how to train. And I know they're going to be out there as lifeguards in their kayaks, and they're going to be, you know, supporting me, and friends and family out there. And it's just like, I get to swim a mile 2,000 yards on a lake with, you know, 100 other people.
Sure.
And will I finish last? I don't know. But I'll finish first in my group.
That's right.
You know, well, not necessarily first in my age group, but first in my group. And it's like, what the heck?
Well, one of the most interesting things going through this process with you is that the number of sports that are available that you didn't realize were available for adaptive athletes. That's
well, I think,
amazing.
You know, talking about the availability, I think another we can have another discussion, another video talking about what's out there with my teammates. But
sure.
For me, it absolutely amazes me how many are out there. And the sports that I chose were mainly sports that I had competed in as an able-bodied.
Mm-hmm.
I had played lacrosse. I played rugby. Unfortunately, wheelchair rugby, also known as murder ball.
Murder ball.
And believe it or not, it was in the TV show Friday Night Lights. And one of the first things I thought of when I lost my leg, cool, I get to play rugby. Unfortunately, the restrictions right now in the United States are you have to have 4 limbs involved. And of course, I only have 1. But there are other leagues, and I know one in England that allows any disabled athlete to play. Wheelchair rugby is nothing like able-bodied rugby out on the pitch. They armor their chair, and they use basically like a partially deflated volleyball, and they play on a basketball court, and there's 4 per side, and they're basically long passes and trying to score at the end. But it fascinates me.
Yes, but bring it down.
Yeah. Well,
so
I get excited when
my point was to you out there is that I've been amazed at how many different athletic events have been adapted.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't have a specific, like the lake swim, doesn't have a specific category for adaptive athletes. Yet, what did you do? You asked.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you can use these modifications, you can do this, whatever. They make modifications. So my point being that there's a ton of different athletic activities out there. The ones that maybe aren't being done in a league, which I don't know if there's any really, there's so many leagues out there. You could create your own.
Definitely.
Form your own.
Well, and just because I do a lot of team sports, I also do the individual sports like swimming, hand cycle bike, racing wheelchair. And there are variations on the hand cycle bike. I happen to use basically a reclined one, so I'm very, very low, but there are also ones that are more like a wheelchair setting up and you cycle here. Racing wheelchair becomes the running part. So you use a racing wheelchair, and there are variations on the racing wheelchair too. There's ones that are where the front tire is way out in front of you. It's basically a tricycle, and you're almost kneeling down, which is more used for, say, the road races,
which we're going to cover in depth future.
Yeah.
Back to my point. It's
that
there's so many different activities that don't let your mind, if you hear someone talking about, I play wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't really like basketball. There's a million other options.
Yep.
Pick something.
Definitely.
Well, I'm no good. I'm not really a sports person. There's something out there that'll work for you. And if you are a real sportsy kind of person and you want to get really involved in athletics and your sport is not available, for the adaptive community, make it available.
You definitely can.
Yeah, just ask.
Yep.
People are very accommodating, and
there are a ton of organizations out there,
which we'll get into in depth.
Well, but like Move United, Challenge Athletes Foundation, that will help you get equipment. But also, if there's no team in your area, you can talk to these guys and try to get a team.
Absolutely.
And you could be, the starting of a new team. The sports I play, it's nationwide and worldwide. All the sports and the clinics, just because I happen to do them in the state of Michigan and our national tournaments, we're playing teams from all over the nation.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
And again, that's the simple point.
Yeah.
The simple point is that just ask. You can contact us, and
definitely
we can give you directed. We have some other videos where we talk in depth about that, and we'll have some more coming up that are more in depth about the details of this, that, and the other thing, where funding comes from, what different type of equipment you can get, that type of thing. But if you have a question, boom, put it in the comments, direct it to us, and we'll get back with you. But the point being, simple point, don't let anything prevent you from doing a sport, because there's so many available, and if there isn't, you can do your own and make it happen.
It goes back to the old adage, use it or lose it. Well, I lost it, but I've got the rest of me to use. And a lot of my friends or family say, at your age, why are you doing this? Well, because it's a challenge and I've got the inner drive to do it. But I also have the support of people like Troy, my teammates, that even in the tournaments I've been in, your competition, you run into the same people a lot, and they're always supportive. So getting involved in whether it's a team sport or an individual sport, even if you're doing one of my goals is para-triathlons, but I could compete in a disabled with able-bodieds, and training with them is fun because they challenge you, you challenge them, and it gets you out of the house. It gets you out there realizing that, okay, adaptive, that's why we try not to say disabled athlete, more of an adaptive athlete. There are adaptations out there so you can be an athlete, you can work out. There's nothing preventing you. Even if you say, you know what, I don't want to do a sport, I just want to work out and get stronger, more fit, you can do it. We have videos where we show you how to use the machines and the dumbbells and the resistance cords. You can still work out as a disabled athlete. You can do it in a wheelchair. You can, with crutches. You can adapt yourself. There's nothing preventing you from getting out there. I don't care what your age is. I don't care what your disability is. Move it or lose it, man.
Sure.
Have fun.
So, I mean, again, the point of this particular discussion was to get you to understand that it's there for you.
Definitely.
And if you find that it's not, it's there for you.
You can find a way.
You can make it happen. Use resources like ourselves, whatever it is that you need. There's somebody out there that will be able to direct you, or you take charge and make your own league out that way. So,
and most folks that are disabled have a physical medicine rehab doc, physical therapy, OT, rec therapy. Those are the folks that talk to them. I knew about Mary Freebed here in Michigan for the rehab, but I didn't realize how involved they were with the sports until my physical medicine rehab doc steered me that way. And I've learned that, holy cow, I can't think of a sport out there that you can't do, or you can't at least try as a disabled athlete. I mean, they do rappelling and climbing and sailing and you name it.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
It's available.
Yeah.
Just go out, research it, ask the people, whoever it is. And
well, in the comments, let us know if you're involved in a sport. If there's a sport that you would like to try, we can find out. Sharing my story, of course, my story is going to be completely different than anybody else. We've got other amputees, you've got other congenital disabilities. So everybody's different. But the bottom line is we can all move and groove and have some fun. Share your story with us. I'd love to hear from other adaptive athletes out there what got you into it? What sports do you do? You know, I mean, I know I can learn. I learn from my teammates. I learn from my opponents. I can learn from everybody out there. How did you become a disabled athlete? What got you into the sports? What sports do you do? How do you train? You know, so if, you know, like our video, share it, subscribe, because what's the subscription?
Subscription's always free.
Always free. Send us your comments. Send us videos. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know how you're doing. You know, we're all in this together. And this is a worldwide thing. And you'll see that if you happen to watch the Paralympics. It's a worldwide thing, man. And we need to help each other out. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right. And as we always say, get strong, stay fit.
Have fun.
Have fun.